All right. So today we had this idea just talking about kind of career development for IDs and how how we get into the field, what we do once we're there. So a lot of what I'm going to be sharing is just my own personal journey and then some things to think about. And then we should be able to end with a little bit of time to share resources in some small groups. So my journey. So just thinking back on, every kid has the what do you want to be when you grow up? So this is me in third grade, and it says, when I grow up, I'd like to be an author. So I was all about writing stories, love to read, love to write, and that is what at that time I said I want to do, which ties into instructional design because structural designers do a lot of writing. Now in fifth grade, I recently found this in some things I brought home from my parents' house. And we had a fifth grade graduation, leaving elementary school. So the teachers must have done some kind of little survey asking people about like their dreams and goals and visions. And they wrote this whole story about a fifth grade class reunion. And apparently, I was very into the Arctic and Antarctic at that time because I thought penguins, snow, it was really pretty, seals, all of those things were really cool. So I wanted to be a manager on the Antarctic weather station. But I did eventually decide I don't like being cold that much, and I prefer reading to science, so I'll just read stories about it. Career goals along the way, other things that I found. I was also interested in being a farmer, probably because I read all the Little House series books. Wanted author, explorer, sign language interpreter for a little while. And then I got into music. So my career goals switched to more piano teacher, orchestra conductor, or music therapist. Um, this little graphic here, I made this for something in grad school for a kind of get to know you graphic. So I pulled this out for this presentation. So my journey career-wise began in music education. I got the degree, K-12 music education, and I did teach 5 years doing K-8 music. So I did some elementary, did some middle school, did some mixed in a few different places. That's where I found I really loved teaching. I really loved creating lessons, engaging with students, and putting that along with the music. What I did not love and was not good at was managing the behavior of the children in large groups and doing that well. So I had to make a curve in my career at that time because it was not working out to do that as a full-time job. So I took a big curve and I got a job at Schwann's Home Service that was selling food. I was out in a truck building relationships with people, showing off food, signing up new customers, something very different from what I'd done before. But I found that it was something that I did enjoy and was able to be good at with the verbal and conversational skills that I had. Then I became a depot trainer at Schwann's while I was still the sales rep. So I still did all my job, but I became the trainer. And that's where I started to think about what could I do as a next career? So while I was there and working towards being a trainer, I also took a position for 2 years as the depot assistant manager, which gave me even more experience because I got to coach people, help lead our meetings. I got to sub on routes to travel all over the state, meet a lot of different people. And I was already thinking, what do I want to do next? I want to go into some kind of adult learning education. So during this whole time where I'm working for Schwann's, I was doing things to learn tools. I was doing things to attend ATD and get involved. I created my own YouTube channel, Tips from the Schwann's Lady, and made videos to help people understand some of our insurance benefits. So those pictures on the screen are from the when I was creating that channel. So during the time I was there, I was making good money. I was pretty happy with the job, but I knew it wasn't my end career goal. I started that work with ATD, especially to learn what I needed to learn so I can make the next step. So 15 years later, I did leave Schwann's and got a job as an instructional designer at Android Industries, which is an automotive supplier in Auburn Hills. So I just jumped from one to the other, big jump. I was really excited, so excited to get that job. Um, but it was also a big change because I had to go from being out in person on the road at the job every day to working from home most days. I went from accessing a computer occasionally for some of my work and some reports to using it all day long. The company had never had an instructional designer before, so I was their first designer, and it was my first job. So that one lasted a year, and then I found myself really needing to look for something else again and questioning, okay, what do I do next? So I ended up finding a position at SAE where I am now, but it was in learning operations. And I saw that as a way to kind of get in a new place and sort of have my foot in the door in a little different angle. And it wasn't instructional design, so I felt a little disappointed, but it felt like I could rebuild my confidence. So I joined there. And with the learning operations, I was exposed to an entire program that SAE offers of instructor-led training, all the logistics behind it, decisions, get to see exposed to a lot of different types of courses, interact with instructors, the students we would host at Troy. So I gained a very strong foundation to what we do at training at SAE. And then as I worked with my manager to continue to pursue this interest in instructional design, I did move back into an instructional design position in November. So my takeaway on this journey is I would say that every step on our career journey can help move us forward if we're intentional about learning from the experiences and developing ourselves. So even if you are in a place which is not the work you want to be doing yet, see what you can learn and what can you do and what can you stretch in the position that you're in to get where you want to go. And that's what I was doing at Schwann's by saying, I see a gap of people really understanding this health benefit that we have where you can do a health survey, participate with the program, and get a really good discount on your insurance. And I see people not really understanding that. So I'm going to go on my own and do a video about it and share it with people. Then I got experience in developing the video. I got experience with both the tools and the process, and I was making something that I could show people what I could do while I was still working in that job. So getting into the field, like if you're coming in instructional design from a different place, um, these are sort of my tips on how to do it. And my first one was building a network. And you're doing that if you're here. For me, building a network was critical, and it was not only just for a direct contact in getting a job, but what I got from the network was ideas, advice, and support. And one example is when I created my very first e-learning project that I did on my own time while I was still working for Schwann's. I wanted to get feedback on it to know, like, how did I do? I followed these process. I created something new. What does someone who knows what they're talking about see? So I reached out to people from ATD that I had met at meetings and connected with and asked them if they'd be willing to give me feedback on this project. And three or four people did, and they were reviewed it for me, and they all gave valuable feedback that helped me develop my skills in e-learning, as well as just continuing to build those relationships. So that was one way that was very valuable. Also, the idea of how to do something in Storyline when I didn't have a subscription and someone just suggesting to get a product idea and develop it as much as possible, then get the free trial, make your product and save it in a way that you can share it. That came from a conversation at an ATD meeting. And then when I was able to make the transition, having people in the personal network that I could share with and celebrate with was was really meaningful. It wasn't just, okay, I got a job and my family and friends are happy. People who really knew what I'd been working for were able to celebrate with me. Anytime you're getting ready for change, endless curiosity is really important. For me, I read books about instructional design and talent development. I listened to podcasts when I was driving. I attended workshops. I attended webinars. I went to meetings when I could, just trying to learn as much as I could and be exposed to as many ideas as I could. So then I could find ones that I really wanted to focus on. Something else that I did, which is, I'll explain why I think it was valuable, was earning a certification. So when I was early on exploring this career transition, I talked to some people that had led a train the trainer class at Schwann's. And that was something they suggested because I didn't have the money and the time available to do an advanced degree. And they suggested maybe a certification from ATD, ISPI, there's some other places that have one. So I looked into it. So I went for the APTD, which is a little bit newer certification. It was meant for kind of junior, early career professionals. The certification, I don't know that it has gotten me necessarily more recognition since it's not real well known, but the process of preparing for that certification really built my confidence and it exposed me to new information in different areas that I've later learned more about. So finding a certification, something that interests you and is valuable to the market is a good way to build some skills. It's nice to have on your resume, but it can also build your confidence in a task. I know there's other certifications out there. You could do like, there's different DISC certifications. There's sententia gamification. There's other ways to specialize to kind of build up that confidence and get a credential without having the degree. Another big one thing for, especially for instructional design, because e-learning development is very prominent. If you want to get into a job, you need to have some competency in the e-learning tools. It's not the primary thing because the tools do change, but you really need to be able to say, I know Captivate, I know Storyline, I know Camtasia, or at least one of those tools and be able to be proficient in it so you can come in to a job and be able to jump right into some of that work. And once you learn one of them, then you're somewhat ahead to learn a different one. Even though they have differences, you kind of learn how to think about the work if you learn one tool. And I did a lot of that work by getting free trials to start with and then deciding what I wanted to purchase. And then finally on this one, another way, if you are looking to make a transition in an instructional design and you want to do a project, but you're not employed with somebody, you could consider offering to do a project for a nonprofit group. Find out, do they need an orientation for their board? Do they need something for their employee base? Do they need something in customer education? Do they need some kind of training? Is there something that you could work with a small business, a nonprofit, friends or family, and create a product and then get their permission to be able to share what you created with your portfolio. So then you're benefiting with the experience and the portfolio, and they're benefiting with getting some free work. Next couple slides are just a couple like recommendations personally from me that have been valuable. I know there are many more resources you can share in the chat or when we do the rooms. Some books that I lean into over the years. I really enjoyed StrengthsFinders 2.0 with the survey. It's a more general book, but it helps me to know what things I'm strong in. If anyone's done like that knows their top five, I am input, learner, responsibility, discipline, and achievement. Kind of understanding that those are some of my strengths helped me to lean into that when I was talking to people about getting a job, when I was looking for the kind of work that I wanted to do, when I wanted to understand why did I like instructional design. Well, input is collecting information so you can share back out to other people. Learning, I love to learn, so I'm always fascinated by new topics. Achievement, discipline, that's that structured part of the instructional design. Robert Mager, he has got a collection of books. This one was Analyzing Performance Problems, and the subtitle is You Really Oughta Wanna, which is always just kind of humorous because he looks at our tendency to just think, well, people should want to learn. Then, well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. And he has some really good foundational things on forming objectives and analyzing performance problems that just give you a good foundation that's historically important in the field. They're easy to read and helps you think about how to design objectives and clarify what you really want and need in a training program. Third one, we did a book club kind of on it for the ID SIG a couple years ago, which is Map It by Kathy Moore. Her process of action mapping, deciding what is the key business goal, and then looking at what do people need to do first. Then from what they need to do, you figure out what they need to know. And I've used that process with several different trainings in some form. She also has a lot of good information on writing scenarios. And then this is a textbook. This is the older version, but E-Learning and the Science of Instruction. If you want to have a good reference book about e-learning and the learning theories behind what we do with effective e-learning, this was actually recommended to me by Lisa Tunnegas at ILG when I was looking for resources early on. They use that as their basis for learning, and it's just a good reference to skim through, look up topics, or if you're really into studying, you could go through each chapter. And then some digital resources. I said I love podcasts. I did get into the Instructional Designers in Offices Drinking Coffee quite a while ago. Don't keep up with all the new episodes now, but there's a whole wealth of episodes on YouTube, on the podcast app, and they're always bringing new guests, new ideas. It gets you a lot of exposure to what's happening in the field and people you could follow or look for if you want to go deeper in their topics. ATD National, they have a lot of different courses. I have the Professional Plus membership, so you get access to their microlearning library. What's unique about these classes is that they're adaptive learning. So if you do, there's a class on writing multiple choice questions. So you get some intro material, you start answering questions, and then based on your responses, it'll give you more or less questions and direct you to different material so that it personalizes the learning for you. And they're not that long. Then once you complete one, you can always go back and they'll do a little like 10-20 minute refresher that'll just bring back the topics if you've already taken the course. For e-learning, Tim Slade's e-learning community is pretty popular. I haven't had the time to get very involved, but I did explore it while I was in between jobs. Some advantages are just being able to connect with other designers. He has some different classes and academies which are worth, checking out to see if it would meet your needs. He also does challenges every month where you can design an e-learning based on a topic that's not job related to build up your portfolio if what you're already doing is private information or you just need ideas. LinkedIn Learning, for me, LinkedIn Learning classes were huge in learning the tools and technologies. I would pick a storyline class or Camtasia class. It would have practice files, download the practice files, and I would just go through all the different modules, follow along and do it, watch again, go back, try it, experiment. That was something that really worked for me, and I used it to ramp up my PowerPoint skills. Used it to learn Camtasia, to learn Storyline. I used it to learn SharePoint in my job at SAE, how to make like a public facing page. Um, so that's worth checking out if that kind of style works for you. And then the last one I threw in there, I am currently in grad school for instructional design, and I had a um, assignment to do like a technology recommendation page, and I made one for trainers. So I can throw the link on there. It's just got a lot of helpful links. It's designed for accidental trainers, but it could be used for IDs as well and just may get you exposed to some new tools that you want to check out. So switching from my journey, I just have some reflection questions, things that you might ask yourself as you're getting into the field. One, if you are making a change, how much money can you invest into your career goals? Or even if you're later in your career, what kind of investment? Are you going to look for free resources? Do you want paid resources? What kind of budget do you have? Um, and then from there, look at your ideal cost and benefits. Are advanced degrees going to pay off for you? The certification, do you think it's going to be worth what you invest in it? Is that investment going to pay off in salary or is it going to pay off in satisfaction? And then what does the day-to-day work look like? Consider, is this really what I want to do? And that might come from conversations with people. What do you do every day? Not just the end product, but what's that process like? What's that 9 to 5, on Tuesday look like? I think about personality. There's contract work, there's self-employment, running your own business, there's working for employers, there's industry, there's nonprofit. You might consider how you're wired and what kind of things you enjoy to find where you might best fit. What area of ID could you specialize in? And then what other skills that support instructional design do you need to develop? Your written or spoken communication, project management, business, graphic design. These are all things that can help you develop what you want to do and where to go. And then the last 3 slides are just suggestions for early career, mid-career, and late career on how you may pursue career development. If you are early in your career or just getting into the field, a recommendation I've heard over and over is learn how to support the business you're working for. Whether it's a nonprofit and getting to know their mission and the people that are involved, or it's, Ford Motor Company, how do they work? Knowing the business that you're supporting is going to go a long way in developing your career and your prospects to move around in the business. Strengthening your partnership with AI, that's huge. Everything's AI right now. Learn how to work with it well, find the strategies that work for you to be able to accelerate and partner with it for a creative human design that has the efficiency that AI can bring. And then you think about how to develop your brand. What makes you unique? What makes your design unique? What's your theme and tone? You could set that for your social media profiles and your portfolio. And remember that you are selling your skills, but you're really selling yourself as a designer when you are interviewing. They may want to see your products, but they also want to know, how do you work? What's your process? How do you work with other people? And so, like, kind of getting the sense of this is who I am, you're selling, able then to sell yourself in terms of getting a job or just having a presence within the community. If you're in mid-career, think about how to start to specialize. You may come in just kind of a generalist, get your foot in the door somewhere and do some work, but what can you be really good at? VR, video creation, maybe you're good at project management, like Christina does both in her position. Simulations, change management, animation, maybe a particular topic. And then brought also at the same time, you can broaden your horizon by trying new things, try new softwares, try new design models, try new types of design. Maybe create a personal project on the side that's different than what you do for work to stretch yourself. And then consider sharing your passion. Volunteer to present for a local event. You could do something for our SIG. Apply to present at industry conferences or create content to share on social media with others. Generalist IDs do face increasing competition, so finding these ways can also help you get ahead. And then if you're at that expert level, you can deepen your strategic business alignment, get good at KPIs and ROIs and OKRs and what your senior leadership really needs so you can support them as a partner and not just a designer. You can expand your professional visibility and leadership, join standards committees, mentor students or early career IDs. You can write magazine articles, blogs, white papers, case studies. And then consider other roles or industries to use your skills. Are you getting bored with design? Do you want to do management? Do you want to move into organizational development, learning analytics? Do you want to be a professor? Um, look at ways you can take what you've done and move into a new place. All right, and the last thing, these are just some questions. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to do some chatting in your rooms. You might share, like, what are your barriers to career development? How can you overcome them? How does your employee support or not career development? What would you like to see them do? And then share resources. What resources would you recommend to other people that have helped you along in your journey? Give you a second to screenshot that. All right, I've got 3 rooms. That should give us about 4 people, and we'll give you just right around 10 minutes to chat in the rooms. And I thank everyone for sticking with me. I didn't have enough screens to see all your faces, but thanks for hanging in there with me. I don't know if we have all of our topics. I don't know if we have all our topics quite on the website, but just register. You can register for all the sessions up through October. They're on the website and come join us again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Laurie. I so appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
We
you.
will send out the slides to everyone who was registered today as well.
Oh, great.
Through the
Cool.
doing
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
There we go.
All right. Thanks, Clifton, for coming.
Thanks, Laurie. Great job.
Thanks. See you later.
Bye.